is the Beat of Sports with Marc Daniels.
Was this amateur hour? What's going on here?
I'm saying, man. Good Lord.
Guy leaves the studio for a week. He doesn't know what to do.
Ridiculous, man.
The sacrifices we make. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Beat of Sports. I'm Marc Daniels, back in studio. Chris Vasquez is sitting over there.
Forgot what you look like.
Glad you're with us. You can listen to this program at FM 96.9 AM 740, always on the iHeart app, which is free to download and listen no matter where you are in the world. Watch the live video stream by going to our YouTube page, 96 on the Game Orlando. Click on the logo, the live button. You can watch us do the show and can always then watch it back when it's convenient for you. And in podcast form, also just type in the Beat of Sports on demand where you get your favorite podcast. How are you, Chris?
I'm good, Mark. How are you, sir?
Good.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
How's Frisco?
Hot,
I imagine.
like Orlando. But, yesterday we were out there for Big 12 Media Day, the Cowboy facility, the Star in Frisco, Texas, and flew back last night and got home about 12:30 or so, but it's all good.
Not too bad.
No, and the rare flight to Orlando that had hardly anybody on it.
I always love those.
I think there was like 50 people on a plane that probably sat 170.
Mm.
Then you get the, hey, can we move it? And then the flight attendant kind of looks left and right, goes, okay, hurry up.
What does it matter? Like, if it's an empty plane, what does it matter if people move up?
What was it even move up? In my row, this was part of our group. There were three of us, and there was an empty row right behind us. He just wanted to move from the middle to the row behind, and the guy's like, "All right, hurry up, man."
What does it matter?
I don't know.
Oh my!
You know what drives me crazy in thinking about technology?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't have to be that old to remember. They used to tell you if your phone's not off, the plane cannot take off. Do you understand? Like if one flip phone is on, the entire radar system for the world is shut down. So please turn your phone up and don't ever turn it on during the flight. Now, we got devices all over the place that are, everything.
Yep. Laptops, tablets.
Yeah.
You can buy the Wi-Fi.
Well, they announced on the flight to Dallas that the Wi-Fi wasn't working, and I thought there was going to be an insurrection. You thought something happened on a day in January years ago. I thought the plane was going to be like, it's over. Like, forget it.
There's
it's over.
No Wi-Fi?
Oh, yeah. It was, what?
What am I supposed to do for how long is the flight?
Oh, yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. Don't you turn that on. It used to be, now, you want to light up a cigarette, have at it. But you can't turn the phone on. If you're in row 16 and back, smoke all you want. Not in 15 or 14, but don't turn your phone on. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's great.
Anyway, doing good?
Oh, I'm doing good.
I brought you, by the way, Rowdy.
I'm very upset about
the cowboy
this.
mascot that nobody knows about.
Liar.
Did not show up yesterday, Chris.
I don't understand it. Why not?
Listen, it was all set. The Nitro part of it was done. Nitro, need you for a picture. I get the thumbs up. He doesn't talk. Get the thumbs up. No Rowdy. I went around and I asked people, no Rowdy. I sent you the screenshot because you can hire Rowdy for parties. Chris, you should hire Rowdy just to stand in your living room for a game.
That would be awesome.
But he never showed up.
That is disappointing.
Never showed up. So no picture. So I brought you back.
I'll grab them.
At the hotel that we stayed at, the Omni, right connected to the Cowboy facility, in the lobby, you can make your own trail mix, which is really cool. And they had Rowdy.
She didn't even bring me trail mix.
No, that's not going to hold. So I brought you back Rowdy trail mix bags. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So the closest I can get for you.
No beer, though.
No.
Another letdown.
Somebody that will stay unnamed came out of the, it wasn't me, came out of the hotel bar and said, I just had one of the best beers I've ever had, and it's called 8. And I said, "Are you drunk and you had 8 of those?" Or did you... No, I had Troy Aikman's beer. Said it was a great beer. Yeah. So
And
it was on tab. What am I supposed to do? There was no can. What am I supposed to do? Can't bring the liquid through security there.
put it in a water bottle.
You can't get through there. That's the other one, Hey, don't even think. If you have 4 ounces of water, this whole airport will shut down, okay? Yeah. Yeah. You can bring a lotion 3 ounces or less, but if you think you're bringing a 4-ounce bottle of water, no one's flying today. Okay? No one. That's the other one.
Oh, that's great.
Whose bag is this? It's mine. You got 5 ounces of water left in this bottle. And how about a cavity check right now? For the 5 ounces of water? Yeah, over here.
Oh, man. That's great.
Anyway, on our program today, Keith Smith is going to join us. Got a lot of basketball stuff to get to with Keith. Brendan Sinone, who covers Florida State for 24/7, is going to join us. I thought he wrote a phenomenal piece last week about the internal happenings in the FSU program. And this isn't picking on Florida State because I think every athletic department is dealing with this ever-changing world, but he does a deep, deep dive into a combination of a lot of voices chiming in, maybe some dysfunction, and he even writes, Chris, that Florida State was set to fire Mike Norvell in October and why it didn't happen. So Brendan's going to join us about 10:40 in the program today. All that and much more, but first, everybody's favorite segment.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? 1 Forrest 1.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CV's dad joke of the day.
Oh, that's so great. Remind me, did you like the joke yesterday?
I did like the joke
Okay.
yesterday. Yeah.
Very nice. Let's see if I can follow it up with you in studio now.
Yeah.
Why don't farmers take injured cows seriously? Why don't farmers take
Love when
injured
the comedian trips his way to the joke.
Why don't farmers take injured cows seriously?
I don't know, Chris. Why don't farmers take injured cows seriously?
They're always milking it.
That's actually pretty good. I do like that one. That's actually pretty good.
Hey there, it's Chad and Leslie from Magic 1077. And if you want real sports updates, keep it here on the Beat of Sports.
Chad, I give real sports updates.
No, you don't, Leslie. Nobody likes your sports updates. You don't even know your sports updates.
Beat of Sports on this Wednesday. Glad you're hanging out with us. I want to do a couple things real quick here. They're somewhat connected. I do want to get to, and I knew this was going to happen, Chris, because once the Americans in the World Cup lost before, in my view, before the quarterfinals, there was going to be the period of everybody now is a soccer expert as to what happened. And by the way, everybody can have an opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's the ill-informed opinion that sometimes becomes comedy. I think if the Americans had got to the quarterfinals and lost, people would be like, oh, man, so close. But the extra few days and wave of excitement, which would have led us to tomorrow or a Friday, would have been euphoric and all right, hey, got to the quarterfinals. And losing to Spain, you would have been like, okay, best of the world. But the way the Americans lost and how quickly that rush ended then led to the, well, here's what's wrong with American soccer, which I watched the last couple of days, and a lot of it was comedic. Okay, but I'm going to get to that in just a moment because I told Chris earlier today after the show I need him to go to the doctor because I need him to ask his doctor to do a check to see if he has a soul because I don't think he has a soul. Chris's lovely wife, mother of his princess daughter, is Colombian. And her national team is playing in the World Cup. They've gone 120 minutes of a scoreless match with Switzerland, and it all comes down to penalty kicks, which, again, you could debate versus golden goals that we play for 120 minutes, and now we're just going to kick in a best of 5, and someone's going to win. And I'll let you pick it up, but I hope your wife is listening. If not, you should bring this home and play it back for her. So penalty kicks is going on. I'm in a XXL Uber driving to the airport in Dallas.
Jesus.
Yeah. And what happens?
I'm reading to my daughter.
Yeah.
I hear the penalty kicks going on. Every time Colombia scores, she's cheering loudly.
Now,
as she should.
Hold on. Your wife is into the Colombian national soccer team.
Yes.
You have been with your wife long enough to know what that team means to that country. Okay? There is no equivalent in the United States, meaning we have national teams that play in competition, but we still then focus on our domestic sports. Colombia is a country like others where their national soccer team is everything. Go on.
So after the final kick, Switzerland scores. She comes in and she's crying. I didn't say anything, but I'm thinking to myself, why are you crying? That's all.
Where is your soul?
What?
How can you not comprehend what that means to her? Wait, and my counter to Chris is, you've acknowledged, not towards your family, you get angry after Cowboy games sometimes, and you'll throw things in a safe environment without your daughter, wife around, right?
I get frustrated.
Right, but that's okay, but the national team of her country, the biggest sporting thing in their country that they rally around and everybody is a fan of, loses in the biggest event that they'll play, and you can't understand why she's emotional when you freak out because Dak throws a late pick and they lose to the Saints on Sunday? And you're like, oh, that's okay to get emotional about?
I get frustrated, yeah.
And then Chris said to me, he goes, did you ever cry? And I thought, yeah, a couple of weeks ago when the Knicks won the championship.
Well, when you told me the reasoning,
and then
I understand
up,
it. Yes.
Okay. No. And I said to Chris, I said, yes. I mean, I wasn't bawling my eyes out, but I had tears. Why? Because at that moment, yeah, I did think of my dad and my brother that are no longer here to experience that and what it meant to me growing up, that my dad was a passionate Knicks fan that passed it down and so forth. And then you acknowledge if the Cowboys win, maybe you'll cry because of your mom.
My mom.
And I said, part of us as sports fans is that we inherit sometimes, not all the time, we inherit the teams of our parents or our family. And it's part of the either the grind and torture of not winning for such a long time, or the great memories of winning. Now, maybe another 60 years before the Cowboys win again, but for you to look at your wife like, well, what's she crying for? Come on, man.
I mean, I didn't call her out or anything. I didn't make her feel bad about it.
Wait a minute. Did you say suck it up, Buttercup?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Did you look like, come on, really? What time's dinner?
No. Yeah. Yeah. You want me divorced?
Ma, the meatloaf. That didn't happen?
No.
All right.
No.
Go to the doctor.
I
don't know if you have a soul.
I was respectable about it. I was just thinking it to myself.
All right.
I can't think to myself.
10 o'clock hour, WY,
Jeez.
Kim Orlando, WJR, HD2, Cocoa Beach.
You're a jerk.
I do want to ask you a question because I want to get back to the point I made before. And again, I knew this was going to happen. The minute the Americans go out in a round before people think, okay, that's okay to lose, everyone's a soccer expert. Now, there are plenty of people that are truly soccer experts, and you can find Alexi Lalas, you can find Landon Donovan, you can find Taylor Twellman, you can find Stu Holden, and many others that are really, really good at covering the sport, understand that will tell you what they think is the problem with American soccer. And it'll be everything from the cost to play club soccer, and that's true. It's not the only reason. They'll talk about, well, the diversity of all the sports here. Okay, follow me for a second. Chris, your favorite sport is football.
Football, yes.
And the National Football League.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How long, how many years do you think it would take for the rest of the world to catch up to our level of professional football?
God, I don't know. A couple decades, maybe?
Couple decades.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you're being kind. Right now, can you name who's second to the United States in playing American football? And by the way, I don't know the answer to that. I'm just saying.
I couldn't venture a guess.
No one knows. Meaning, we have growth of football in Europe, popular the National Football League, and there are pro leagues, and where they would fit in comparison, it's not very high. It might take 50 to 80 years for investment, development, coaching, a lot of money to get anywhere near the level of the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no? For years, the Americans dominated world basketball.
Mm-hmm.
We never lost.
Mm-hmm.
We never lost. It was a point like, hey, our college kids are beating you guys. And then when that changed, well, all right, then we'll send the dream team. We never lost. Has that gap closed?
Yes.
It's closed.
Mm-hmm.
How long has it taken?
Long time.
50, 60 years, right? 50, 60 years. Baseball. One would argue, hey, check out the World Baseball Classic. We no longer dominate. We did for many, many years. The level of quality play in the Dominican Republic, in Venezuela, other Caribbean countries, used to be nothing compared to what it is now. It's taken decades and hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in countries to do that. So first and foremost, before we blame club soccer, before we blame a distribution of young athletes in this country playing other sports, just stop and think. We're the ones, we are, that are playing catch up to the rest of the world when it comes to what the most popular sport is to the rest of the world. Okay? No kidding, we're behind England. Why? I don't know. It could have been the century and a half start they had over us in the sport that we're just catching up to, which, by the way, we may never catch up. Just like Japan will never catch us in NFL quality football. That doesn't mean that we haven't made progress, okay? Here's the other thing that sometimes people go, well, what if LeBron James played football? He'd stink. Soccer. He'd stink. Oh, yeah. 6'9", 280 doesn't work in soccer, okay? Because here's what I'll do. Why don't you rip off the best players in the world that are 6'9", 280 in soccer? Go. Okay, time's up because you don't need any more time. Manchester City has been the most successful franchise in the Premier League, the best pro league in the world, okay? Chris, would you like to know the average height of Manchester City in the last 5 years? The average height of a Manchester City player.
I'll say 5'10".
5'10" is exactly right. 5'10". So in our country, in our sports, I'm going to say football, basketball, even baseball, we think what? Bigger, stronger, faster, right? We obsess with the 40 time at the combine. You don't need a great 40 time in soccer. You know what you need? The endurance to play 2 45-minute halves and the ability of running great distances, start, stop, start, stop. The anticipation, the skill set is different. Most of our American sports are based on speed explosion for a short period of time. How long's the average play in the National Football League? Shockingly, a few seconds, right? How long's the average pitch in Major League Baseball? Depends if Mazeroski's on the mound, right? Same deal in basketball. Yeah, we can have free flow play up and down, but we have whistles. It's not play. It's a completely different development of skill set. Athlete versus player is different. You could take the most chiseled athlete that's big, strong, fast. It doesn't mean they're going to be a good soccer player. The soccer player is a tactician, anticipation. It's a different sport. It doesn't mean we can't be good at it. It doesn't mean we haven't gotten better at it. And all those other factors about the cost of playing a club level. Yeah, it is. It's also in this country, it's called an economy. I mean, you can blame somebody who says, hey, you need $40,000, $50,000 to play in a good club team. That is part of it. It's not the only reason. It's not. Well, in America, they pick other sports. That's a part of it. It's not the only reason. The LeBron James example is one. The 6'10", 16-year-old is not going to play soccer. They won't. The other part of it also in this country is the process to speed the development to get to big pay is also different. If you're one of the best basketball players in the country, Chris, in high school, okay, you're recognized. By the time you're 16 or 17 years old, you now know it is a matter of not year to riches. If you're a senior in high school, you now know you will benefit with at least 7 figures by playing the 1 year of college. And then if you're really good, you're going to sign that massive contract and you're off. And so it doesn't necessarily work that way in soccer. So we pick and choose different sports for a variety of reasons. But one of the biggest things that we forget when we do this thing every 4 years is, well, how come American soccer? Just take what I began the conversation with. How many years would it take all of Europe, all of Asia, all of Central and South America to catch up to us in professional football? That's what we're trying to do in soccer. It's their number one sport. Well, it's not here. Maybe it never will be. Maybe it never will be. But that's the gap we're trying to close. So it is coaching. It is player development. It is club cost. It's all those things. It's not any one particular reason. But our catch-up still has a long way to go. And you can say, by the way, why do women, U.S. women's national team, why have they dominated? Okay, great question. Chris, do you know what the state of women's soccer in England, in soccer-crazed England, was 30 years ago?
I would guess non-existent.
Non-existent. The fact that there's a Premier League now is somewhat of a sports miracle. And guess what they're doing? Playing catch-up. And they've done it at a pretty good pace, by the way, because if you want to make money, you play over there in women's soccer than you really do playing in the NWSL. Keith Smith's weekly basketball visit with a lot to get to next.
Time to talk basketball with Keith Smith. The latest on the Magic and around the NBA. Follow Keith on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA.
Much to get to with Keith. It's a busy time, and we're glad to have him. Keith, let's jump into it. Please follow and support Keith's work. He's on extra Twitter, Keith Smith NBA, and lots of stuff that he's been following. I know, look, there's a lot of things that you want to do with, but if I gave you an hour to break down the 6-team trade, you would love to do that, wouldn't you, Keith Smith?
Yeah, I'd be in my glory, but I don't know how much your listenership would drop off after about 5 or 6 minutes or so.
All right, maybe we'll get back to that a little bit later. All right, we're a few days removed now. Jaylen Brown's deal's taken place. Brad Stevens had his say. Jason Tatum spoke briefly at an event that was hard to hear. Give me your thoughts now where we are that we've heard from the parties involved here.
Yeah, Jason Tatum, there was a lot of like, why isn't he spoken now? Why is he not saying things? And there's a lot of times where players tend to be a little bit cautious on this stuff. They might post like a cryptic emoji or something like that because that can't necessarily get them in trouble. But you want to be careful about what you say. And then when he spoke, he basically said, hey, we had, 9 great years together in Boston, and it was awesome. We won a title, and it's going to be weird to play without him, and it's going to be weird to show up at the arena. He's not there anymore. But the NBA is a business. You start to understand that. And basically it was Jason Tatum recognizing, hey, I'm going to miss my, long-term running mate, but we move on. And then he ended with some thoughts on Mitchell Robinson and Paul George and how much he's excited to get to work with those guys. I think it gets very emotional for everybody involved, but the players know they have to turn the page relatively quickly because we're about 2 months or so from these guys all gathering for the informal workouts ahead of training camp, and that's how quickly the next season will be here. So they've got to move on to what's next.
Hey, did Brad Stevens take us behind the curtain to what a number, if not all NBA teams now deal with, and that is I can't tie up so much of a salary cap with a couple of players, which he openly said and was criticized by some, but it is a reality. I mean, Cleveland committed a ton of money to Donovan Mitchell for a team that has not gone to the finals. Is that now common with everybody? Like, hey, I got to be careful of what I sign a couple of guys to that eat up so much of the cap.
Yeah, and you're going to see different approaches to this. Like you mentioned, Cleveland. Now you're going to have Donovan Mitchell on a max. You have Evan Mobley on a max. You're going to have James Harden on a big contract when he ultimately re-signs. Jared Allen as well. Philadelphia now has Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown, and Tyrese Maxey all on max contracts. So everybody's going to have different levels of appetite for this. I think some of it's also going to depend on the players. And I think what Brad Stevens said without saying it was because they do have 2 guys on a max still because Paul George is on a max contract for the next couple of years. But I think what he was more saying is, hey, in the future, we don't feel like Jaylen Brown is going to deliver on a max level. And because people have said, well, you were going to trade for Giannis and you would add with him a max. Yeah, but that's Giannis. That's a different thing. It's going to become very almost ruthless now. We have to be sure if you're going to hand out one of those 35% of the cap maxes that you get it right. Because if you don't get it right, it could be disastrous for your team building moving forward. And that's going to be something that all these teams are facing. One of the things, too, that I think is going a little overlooked, salary cap only came in at a 7% raise from last year to this year. Next year is projected to only go up 5.5%, and most everyone is baking in 5% growth for the years following that. Contracts are now going to outpace raises in the cap because most of these max contracts are going to grow by 8% year to year. So that's another thing. All those margins are just getting tighter and tighter and tighter when you're dealing in this new apron era.
By the way, a different topic maybe for a later date, but a play off of what you just said, and I think you know this. Remember, the playoffs didn't go as long. The Knicks played fewer games than you typically get, and the NBA missed out on some playoff dollars along the way here. And the other thing is the death of the regional sports network has really hit a lot of teams, including the Magic here locally. That's a much bigger story. People go, oh, yeah, but they got this new national TV deal. The local TV money is a lot of dollars that now has gone away, Keith, that teams are realizing.
Yeah, without a doubt. It was roughly half the teams in the league that were impacted by that. And now we've seen, I think we're up to 4 or 5 teams are going to offer their games free over the air to in-market fans or through via a free streaming service. Now that's awesome for fans. Like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, that's great. But yeah, but that's all money that doesn't come in. And I know people might be thinking, yeah, well, if Team X, makes $20 million a year from their, local TV contract, why is that, impacting the other 29 teams? All that money goes into the pot because it's all basketball related income that ultimately gets divvied up, and the players will get 50% of it. So yeah, the cap growth, which looks like initially like it might be a few years in a row of 10% growth as we caught up, it sounds like now we're not going to get that, and that's going to again make all these margins that much tighter with these teams as they try to work out where they're going.
I want to ask you about an overview of the East because it's interesting. Boston, Philadelphia, we talked about what they've done. The Knicks, for the most part, should be the same team. They switch out Drummond in place of Robinson, which actually statistically might be a little bit better. But Washington and all the deals that they have made, and we talked about Indiana, and Detroit's made some moves. I'll get to the Magic in a second, but give me the quick read of the East, and particularly, and I like what the Wizards did. I don't know if it's going to work, but at least they realize at some point we got to go. We got to get something here. So I threw a lot at you there, but the East and a team like what the Wizards have done, because I think it makes, to me, the 5 to 12 gap in the East is a lot tighter than maybe it was a month or two ago.
I completely agree with that. There's really only 3 bad teams in the East, and that's Brooklyn, Chicago, and Milwaukee. And write them off. That's, an automatic win, because part of what's happened with lottery reform is you can no longer go into a season right now in July saying, yeah, by the time we get there in the end of October, we're going to stink, but it's all with purpose, because you can't be that bad, because now you land in that relegation zone and lose lottery balls. So what you're going to see is like Chicago signed Norman Powell and traded for Nick Claxton because we have to be at least some baseline level of competitive. Brooklyn's made a bunch of additions. Milwaukee made the big trade, and they're continuing to kind of rework their roster as well. So we're definitely in a position where in the East, even the bad teams are not god-awful bad, because you can't be. And then you mentioned it, like the Wizards, they're going to be much improved. You're going to get a full season, or at least whatever you get outside of injuries, from Anthony Davis and Trae Young, along with the team. I know people kind of bailed on them because they weren't playing for anything, but this is a team that had a bunch of young players that were getting better. You've already got New York's not going anywhere. Philadelphia is good. Boston's still going to be good. Detroit, let's see what they're doing. They're still reworking their roster. Cleveland's going to be good. Toronto got better with Kawhi Leonard. Indiana's getting Tyrese Halliburton back, and they added Kelly Oubre Jr. is a nice addition to what was already a pretty deep team. Orlando's going to be pretty good. Atlanta should be good. I mean, Miami's going to be good. Charlotte's on the way up. Like that's the entire Eastern Conference is going to be fantastic next year outside of those bottom 3 teams. And even those aren't the automatic just show up and you get a win games. Now, someone will have the season where a bunch of injuries come and it all falls apart on them, or one of these teams won't come together the way they look. But right now, it's hard to even picture who that could be.
I guess I'm going to sound critical here, but at the moment, the Orlando Magic traded Jamal Mosley for Sean Sweeney. Maybe it's an upgrade. We'll see. I think Sweeney's earned the right to be a head coach. They bring in Nick Vucevic, and basically Mo Wagner and Jet Howard are gone. And that's it. A mid-second round pick is likely going to have Osceola cross his chest more than Orlando. I'm trying to figure out where this team got better in shooting, and from what, and I follow you, what seems to be about $2.5 million. And then people say about trading Gogo Batazzi. He played his way out of the rotation during part of the second half of the season last year. Maybe there's some trade value. What am I missing other than I don't know what this offseason's really been?
Yeah, well, to touch on the shooting and the center spot, that's why Vucevic is back in Orlando, because one, he was willing to take a veteran minimum deal to come back home, and this is very much home for him. He's made that clear now. So we're in a position for the Magic where it is, okay, he at least gives you a different look from Wendell Carter Jr. on the night where you need a little bit of shooting. Like Vooch can step in and do that. He's still a fantastic rebounder, defensive issues are what they are, but in a reserve role for the minimum, that's kind of a home run signing as a replacement, I think, for Mo Wagner, who they're going to miss his energy, but you're hoping to get a little bit more other places. But the Magic mostly are betting on the new head coach is going to get us to a level, along with better health, is the other hope that we haven't been able to get to yet. Where we're playing, where we're going to be fighting for home court advantage. We're going to be a better team. And I can tell you two things with this. If it doesn't happen, we're not going to see the same team back next year. We just can't. Therefore, we've been talking about teams that are too expensive. The Magic will be way too expensive to just run it back again on another year, saying just wait till we get healthy after doing that the last 2 years. And then we may see different people making those decisions for who's, filling those roster spots and making those trades, because they chose to not break up the roster, but go to the coach. The next thing is break up the roster and maybe, all right, you already had your chance over the last, what are we at, 9 seasons or so of doing this. It's now time for somebody else to take the reins. And I think that's where the Magic are hoping this under Sean Sweeney all comes together in a much better way.
I didn't purposely leave out Jonathan Isaac. The point is he's back. I don't even understand that one. And then I'll just follow up on your point. You may be right about who makes the decision. They just signed that guy to an extension.
Yep.
They just signed him.
I know. And that's, I will say, I mean, in the NBA, those extensions are as good as whatever, as long as the people are willing to pay it, right? And that could be the question mark too. Now, give credit where credit is due. Orlando Magic ownership group is saying, all right, you know what? We believe in this team enough to pay the luxury tax. Like we're willing to go to that level for this group because we see the vision, we see where it is. Now, if it's not going well, let's see if when we get to the trade deadline, if it's all of a sudden, player X, Y, or Z that gets us out of the luxury tax is out the door. And then the thing I'm watching now, the Magic, is what happens with Anthony Black's extension talks.
Yeah.
We've not seen a single rookie scale extension get done outside of Victor Wembanyama, which I assume Wemby's, traveling in Inner Mongolia somewhere. And the minute the Spurs track him down, it's here's your max deal, let's go. No other players have signed one yet. And I think for the Magic, Anthony Black, that becomes a real question because you have Paulo, Bain, Carter, Suggs, and Franz Wagner all on the roster at, 20 to 45 million next year. And that's going to be a really interesting case what happens with Anthony Black. That's the big move I'm watching for the rest of the summer.
All right, I'm sorry, the one more. Unless Tristan Da Silva becomes the guy, tell me the shooter that they added.
Yeah, Vooch. I mean, and that's
okay, like that, but come on now. We're on the backside of a career here, and that's not a lockdown three-point shooter late in the game.
100%. He's not. He's a dependent player too. He's not going to get a shot off the dribble or anything like that. So now you're talking. All right. Well, Desmond Bain was really good last year. Now you're hoping. All right, can Paulo take a step forward? Can Franz take a step forward? Can Suggs take a step forward? Those three, can they all stay on the court? But you're absolutely right. I mean, this team looks pretty similar, and you're betting on a lot of if, with the Magic, and I'm okay with betting on a couple ifs, because if they do happen, you're feeling pretty good about things. But once we're getting into about 4 or 5 different ifs, that starts to get pretty questionable to me.
Please support Keith's work at Keith Smith NBA. Get the links to everything he's writing about, the videos, the shows that he's doing every single day. There's something happening, and nobody breaks down a 6-team, 11-player trade like Keith did. So please follow him. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Next week, I'll be coming at you live from Summer League.
Awesome. He'll be in Las Vegas. He's done that last few years of joining us out there. Brennan Sonone, who's covered Florida State for a number of years at 24/7, is going to join us. The story that he wrote last week of a deeper dive in the athletic department at Florida State, including the game that Florida State thought about afterwards of firing Mike Norvell, why they didn't, and what is happening behind the curtain at Florida State with the athletic department that's trying to get back to where they were a couple of years ago. That story with Brendan next. college football season really 6 weeks away, boys and girls. Got a UCF game 7 weeks from tomorrow. So we'll eventually get to games and so forth. But I want to talk to our next guest, who I thought wrote a great piece, not a critical piece of Florida State's athletic department, because I think he took you behind the curtain to see some things that a lot of athletic departments deal with in this ever-changing world of hiring new positions that didn't exist, and then the checks and balances, because you got an athletic director, you got a football GM, you got a CFO, you got a capologist, you got multimedia rights holders, and all sorts of things that make it a complicated structure. Brendan Sonnone has covered Florida State for a number of years at Knowles 247, and he's kind of joined us. He's on X or Twitter at @BSonnone. Welcome back. Good morning. How are you?
Mark, thanks for having me. Very kind words of you, as always. I'm doing well. I appreciate you having me on.
As I explained, and I want to start here, and then we'll do a deeper dive into what you wrote. It is interesting to watch the industry in a short time, how it's changed so quickly with all these things that I mentioned. You now have a GM of a football team. You got a capologist. You got someone that's a CFO. You got an AD. A lot of positions here didn't exist a few years ago. And as you did that deep dive, my first thought is every athletic department has had to deal with this, and you've covered college sports enough. Just your thoughts on change happening so quickly in these instances.
Part of I don't know if every reporter has to deal with this, but I do feel like a part of my job has become very much to try to not just contextualize, but project. And it's just become so difficult because the landscape changes constantly, Mark. Like you're every 2 years, and that's maybe being a little conservative with the estimation on it. Like after the 2024 season, I remember talking to someone in personnel department of another program, another college program, and just kind of what their thoughts on what had happened with Florida State's 2-win season. And he was like, honestly, he's like, no, it didn't work out. He's like, it made sense on paper. He's like, I can't judge, he's like, I can't fully judge them. And he's critical of other aspects. Isn't someone who's just, nice just to be nice or something like that. And his point was just like, there's just not a cookie cutter or like a formulaic way to do this where, 10 years ago, generally there was. And so, or at least there was a lot less variance now. And so now I think taking that of just the micro of how to build a football roster, now you're expanding that to how to distribute through an athletic department, how to funnel money in certain ways, how to raise money for an entire athletic department, what role a university board of trustees take into it. Like, it's super complex. And the biggest thing from my story and my reporting is like everyone's got a different point of view on it, even internally. And that's not necessarily you could say good, bad, whatever. But it just shows how complex and how much motion there is to this thing that is college sports and college football specifically.
At Florida State, in the current structure, who are the key players? And what I mean by that is there's an athletic director, but there may be some other names that people don't think about. Who are the key figures, which now includes, I think, in a lot of schools, a more vocal board of trustee chairs. So who are the key figures at Florida State?
Yeah, I think the three decision makers, and so like the ones who ultimately, and they have to answer to other people as well, but the ones who ultimately had the say on whether Mike Norvell was retained or not, after the slump in September and October after the strong start this past year. So this is following the Stanford loss in October, which made it 4 in a row for FSU, 4 defeats in a row. There was Michael Alfred, the athletic director, and he's been the athletic director since 2022, and had previously been, or thereabouts, and previously been the Seminole Boosters head for a couple of years as well. So he's been here for a little bit now. Board of Trustees Chair Peter Collins, and then FSU President Richard McCullough, who came from Harvard, and he's been here around the same amount of time, 2022 or so. So those are the three who ultimately made the decision. One piece of the reporting, and this has been kind of talked about, but to crystallize it, those three were not in unison initially on what to do with Norvell. At least one person wanted to move on from Mike Norvell and thought that was better for the football program, athletic department, university long term. And eventually they all got on the same page. But yeah, those are the three power players, really, the power brokers who make a lot of decisions for Florida State.
So that kind of leads to the foundation of where we head here. Why wasn't the decision made to fire Norvell? And then you kind of lay the groundwork of here's butting heads that has a different view of how things are to be structured, which kind of leads to the dysfunction at Florida State.
I think ultimately the financial aspect is where the disconnect came in the buyout for not just Mike Norvell but the rest of the coaching staff and football operations. You're talking about probably the different. There's been different numbers thrown around. Let's just say 60 million roughly that you'd have to be throwing in there, and then extra liquid cash, probably 20 million for a new coach with buyout and signing bonuses, all that stuff. You're talking about like $80 million that you'd probably be having to go in on right then and there. And so I think that's ultimately like what the disconnect was. I can't say with like 100% certainty, but based on actions and some of my reporting, I'm fairly confident. I guess I could say that it was AD Michael Alford who wanted to move on from Mike Norvell, and I think it makes sense. Like from his point of view, once he made a decision to retain Mike Norvell and commit to another year of this experience, which outside of a 2-year window, a great 2-year window, has been very, very poor for FSU standards. You knew where the Flames were going to climb beyond the angst towards Mike Norvell. Like that's not even really a thing that often anymore. Like now the frustration is largely up to administration and the fan base at first. The ear goes to Michael Alford, and so I think that's kind of where a starting point is with some of this quote unquote dysfunction. And I know some people have said dysfunction. That's in the story. I think my personal thought is I think there is a level of dysfunction. People in the athletic department and the university side have pushed back at that as well. So that's to be fair to them. But I think it largely comes from this a huge decision to be made, whether this cash cow football is run by this person or should be someone else. And if you all weren't initially on the same page with that, I think that creates ripple effect for the future, because it's a huge decision. And to me now, what we've seen is there doesn't seem to be total congruity on what the plan is to execute football at a high level. And I think that's what a lot of the reporting led to. And they hired someone who, the athlete group, they hired a consultant who basically said as much. We have to see if they get on the stage.
Yeah, before I get to the athlete group, which is interesting, I'm going to throw a few things that maybe were perception, and then you can kind of combine them and say true or false. FSU didn't spend enough on the roster. The GM didn't do a good job in identifying talent. It was all Mike Norvell and X and O's, and it was all other hands that weren't needed getting involved.
It's just funny. I'm laughing because I can make reasonable arguments for true or false for all of those, right? And that's where there's just this extreme gray area with it. Now, point blank is like, no, they have not maximized their assets well. Now we can start parsing through. Does Florida State spend enough to be a championship contender? No, I think they would even tell you like they don't spend enough to be a championship contender. Do they spend enough to not win 2 games or 5 games in a season? I think they would tell you yes. But there's also people in the program that say, no, we don't have enough money to be. We're a middling ACC team from a budgetary standpoint. Like that's part of the D word, the dysfunction. Mark was like, that's how the story began, was just trying to figure out how much they spent on this year's roster within a ballpark range. I wasn't going to put out like 18.2 million or something like that. But the numbers were so vast. I think it varied by like 60, 70%. I can't remember exactly what the difference of percentage points was, but that's nuts that there's that different a view of either what the budget actually is or how they actually spend money, or just are people just posturing for point of view and how they look. So I think the ultimate, I'll try to be brief with this. The ultimate point is that they have not maximized their assets well as a football program, and that falls on Mike Norvell largely. And I don't think they have equipped Mike Norvell to overcome his shortcomings at this point of this current iteration of college football well either. And I think both of those things can be true.
Who is the athlete group? What do they do, and what did they do at Florida State?
Yep. So the athlete group started a few years ago, and it's run by Jake Rosenberg, who was basically the capologist for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like Howie Roseman, who's considered by and large one of the better GMs in the NFL, and one of the more forward-thinking ones too, with especially how they started kind of kicking the proverbial can down the road for salary cap. Like that, a lot of that was Jake Rosenberg, and so he felt like, and I remember talking to him for a story I'd done a few years ago, of like feeling like he just kind of hit his head on the ceiling in terms of the NFL. Like this is where he was going to be. Was going to be the cap guy, and so he wanted to do his own thing. And he saw, the athlete group as basically a consulting firm in a variety of ways, but basically a way to help athletic departments navigate the current waters. Obviously, there's finances to be made. There's financial benefit to be made from it. He's not doing it out of the pure goodness of his heart, but through the resources of people he's met through scouting, through evaluation, personnel, like actual hiring evaluations, not just scouting, cap stuff. Like there's all sorts of things that he's done. And so he started the athlete group. He played a really big role in the Oklahoma front office a year ago, and that being constructed. And they got very much so, like, not only did he a consulting for them, but he also had a big role in kind of filling out that front office. And so Florida State hired him just to consult. And that was one thing to be clear in the story that we hadn't, necessarily had before, was like that he wasn't responsible for the hiring of the GM or the rest of the front office staff. It was just his way of saying what the athletic program needed, what the football program needed, what the university needed. And one of the biggest findings was, and I've gotten this corroborated from a few sources now, and that's that the finding was FSU did not operate from top to bottom, football program all the way up to athletic department to university president, in a way that was congruent with having alignment, I guess would be the key word, having alignment of how you want to operate, all rowing in the same motion, in the same direction, to produce the best football product possible. And that was what the finding revealed. And really the biggest change outwardly was that they hired a general manager, whereas all the rest of the pieces kind of stayed in place. And that general manager, I can get into, but kind of had some, this is a new variation of the role for him as well. So I think you can be critical of the actual process and results here for Florida State's perspective.
Two final ones for you. I took away, maybe this was accurate, maybe it's not, that Michael Alford would like some guardrails and rules. That FSU is one of the schools that would like to see, here's the rules, here's what we can do, here's what we can't do, and yet may be told that's not going to win. And we got to figure out a way to dance in that other world and not worry about the guardrails and rules. Am I right?
Yes, he has been very adamant publicly with the guardrails and the guardrails working. And that's been pretty consistent for a while now. And there's some nuance there. And they would tell you that, his view of there's been pushback from FSU athletic side of, previous comments of him saying, that there's going to be a salary cap, and then you can kind of go over it with some policed versions of NIL, third party vendors, that type of stuff, marketing deals. I'll be heavily policed. It has not been heavily policed, right? And that's been, I think, where FSU, again, the athletic department administration has been pretty adamant that would work. It hasn't, and I would say definitely most. I would venture like 90 to 95% of college athletic departments, athletic directors, even football coaches want there to be set rules and guardrails and regulations. There's a few outliers that are able to paint beyond the lines and find ways to funnel money. They're probably really happy with that. Texas Tech, Miami, I think a few others come to mind. But yeah, that's the thing that Michael Alford definitely has wanted and advocated for. They're now, I think they're late to trying to find ways to get creative. They have started that, but my personal view is that if I can editorialize, that it's taken a while to get to that point. That's not all on Michael Alford, but ultimately he's the athletic director. And I think that a lot of that does fall on the way he packaged and discussed publicly where this was all going from a rules and regulation and financial spending standpoint on rosters.
The movie then for 2026 is fascinating because of the role that the stars will play. So I don't know if there's a number in mind when it comes to wins. I don't know if all of what you've talked about can be patched up and fixed as we're a few weeks away of a season. So in your crystal ball of what you discovered in reporting, what are we looking at in 2026 here and what has to happen?
So in terms of Mike Norvell making it, or how they would operate if he doesn't, I guess because there's so many different directions.
I don't even know that. Maybe all of it, but kind of a 30,000 foot view of what this season may lead to. I don't know.
So one of the most interesting things, and my personal thought is like I kind of like what they've put together on a roster this year. I like it better than I did last year. And I thought it'd be around a 6-win team. So like I thought I had a decent pulse on what last year was. I kind of like this team relative. I mean, 7-8 wins. And does that buy Mike Norvell another year? I'm out of the business on predicting what gets Mike Norvell fired or retained. I don't know yet because you would assume 7 wins in 2 years would be enough regardless of the contract. But I digress there. Let's say he does kind of float around that 7-win territory, and you can say objectively as a Florida State fan, that's not good enough. You could also, you can spin it internally and be like, well, this is growth. And, we are, one thing in the reporting is FSU is maintaining they're going to keep putting more money into the roster building aspect of this. And they're going to keep go ahead and find more money for the athletic department. And so, how does the power then work? Like what strings are attached with that? Or if you do fire Mike Norvell, let's say he wins 4 games and you're like, it's a dumpster fire from the beginning of the season. Who has the say? What happens to the athletic director? And I think there's fear from the athletic department side that they have a tenuous position based on just how forward facing the board of trustees chair, Peter Collins, has been. I think that's real. And I think it's, I think that's understandable. And so, who then is making the calls? And if they are allocating money, more money, why is it taking this long? And is it to make someone look better? There's just a lot of Machiavellian stuff that kind of falls in line with this that does intrigue me. And I honestly don't know how it's going to play. I think that's what, it's the soap opera aspect of FSU athletics and football that intrigues me maybe more than what's going to happen on the field. It's going to be what navigates, away from it, what chess pieces are being moved where on the board. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, I think it is too on many, many levels. You can read the piece that Brendan spent a lot of time on. It's really good. You can follow him on extra Twitter, B. Sonnone. That's Sonnone. He covers FSU for Knowles 24/7. Hey, thanks for spending some time. I appreciate it. We'll talk again later in the season.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark.
Brendan Sonnone. Deep dive, man. A lot of moving parts when you got a lot of people. I mean, 10 years ago, the chairman of the board of trustees wasn't involved. Like now, people are involved, and you get dysfunction. You hire outside people to come in and analyze and everything. And
that begs the question: is there too many hands in the cookie jar?
That's the problem, man. When you're talking about the amount of money now that you're moving and so forth, and when you hire the outside group, you say to yourself, "Well, wait, what am I paying you for? When I thought you guys were supposed to be doing that." Yeah, he did a great job. Brendan did a really, really good job on that story. 11 o'clock hour, WYGM Orlando, WJR HC2 Cocoa Beach, Orlando Sports Leader. Let's get to our World Cup update. It is brought to you by friends at Fiddler's Green Irish Pub. Yesterday, the final 2 matches in the round of 16. Dramas, Egypt led Argentina 2-0. Argentina roars back. Messi gets the tying goal, then they win it in the 98th minute, and Argentina somehow finds a way to get to the quarterfinals. They'll take on Switzerland, who played to a scoreless draw after 120 minutes against Colombia. Switzerland 3-2 in penalty kicks. They advance in the World Cup. The first off day because of scheduling, now down to just 7 matches left. And we got quarterfinals, France and Morocco, Spain, Belgium, Norway, England, and Argentina, Switzerland. One quarterfinal match tomorrow. That's France-Morocco, then Spain-Belgium on Friday. The 2 Saturday games, Norway, England, and Argentina and Switzerland. As the World Cup now reaches the quarterfinal. World Cup update brought to you by our friends at Fitter's Green Irish Pub, also brought to you by Jameson Irish Whiskey and Carlsberg Beer, the place to watch the World Cup action is Fitter's Green Irish Pub.
Let's really do the news.
Yes.
Now it is time to do the news.
But now it's time for the news.
All right, a little bit late. That's my fault. But good stuff with Brendan Sinone. Rare off day in the World Cup, we mentioned, with the quarterfinals now set. So no matches are set to be played today. Other sports news, the Yankees struck out for the second straight night 17 times in a game.
Hard to do.
More on that a little bit later on.
Oh, boy.
By the way, the audience for U.S. and Belgium, the Fox audience, better than 30 million. If you add the Telemundo audience, it's over 42 million people.
The record for their win, or the audience for the win over Bosnia was, what, 33?
Yeah, I mean, I stand by, and I can't prove it because they're not playing. Had they won, I said that a Friday's quarterfinal would have drawn better than 50 million, and I may have been low.
Do you think there was, I mean, it doesn't matter now. Do you think if somehow they maybe made the World Cup final, we'd see 100 million audience?
Yep. Yeah, I do. It would have been that rare, and the hype would have been that big. Yeah, no question about it. Ben Rice joined Junior Caminero as the second player to commit to next week's Home Run Derby. Don't forget. On Netflix. Chris is fired up.
I mean, luckily I have Netflix, but not happy about it.
8 straight semifinals for Novak Djokovic. The 39-year-old won a 5-hour quarterfinal match yesterday. Over 5 hours. Just insane to catch that. Shohei Ohtani back to baseball. Hit his 300th home run on Tuesday. In his 1,101st game. Fifth fastest to reach the milestone. Judge did it in 9:55. I don't know if Aaron Judge will play game 9:56 anytime soon. No. He's played more than it was 9:55 when he did 300. I'd like him to play another game sometime soon. Stanton, I have no hope for playing anytime soon. The Royals.
It's not Giancarlo's fault.
Oh, it is now. Get out there. The Royals had a rare feat on Monday. 15-1 rout of the Phillies on Monday, becoming the 21st team in MLB history to score a run in every single inning. Yeah. And they beat the Mets 16-12 last night. You're the Mets, you get 12, you feel pretty good. Nope, lost 16-12. Tyler Tolbert has been the hottest player in baseball. Dude had a hit in 12 consecutive plate appearances. Huh? Pretty good, you know? Pretty good. All right, on Friday, a couple of days from now, Chris and I are going to be out at Bowegans.
Yeah, we are.
Castleberry location where Bobby's opened up now, not just what had been for great beer from Bowegans, but now you got, what is it called, a cafe?
No, you call it a kitchen.
Yeah. Serving great food. So we're going to do the show Friday from out there.
Super stoked.
And they're going to open up earlier. And you're invited to come on by and enjoy a little Friday beverage and some of the food. Maybe Bobby put out some samples or something. So we're going to be there on Friday. And Chris, how would you tell people to get there? So use a car or a horse, but yeah.
Or Uber.
Yeah.
So the address is 1014 State Road 436. So corner 436 and
a little
Red Bug.
bit tricky, you know, if you're coming from the north side of 436, and people sometimes take the big loop around. Don't do that.
No, don't do that. You'll have to make a U-turn and then still wait at the light.
So stay on it till the next light.
Yes.
Don't go up on the big past the Goldberg. Stay on the road.
And if you're not sure where it is, it's right next to Colorado Fondue.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to be there on Friday.
Yes.
Broadcasting, and looking forward to that. It'd be fun to get out and see Bobby, who normally comes in the studio with us. We'll be out there on Friday, and you can come on by. We'll open up maybe just after 10 or so.
Actually, doors are going to open 9:45.
Or 9:45.
9:45.
So come on out.
Marc Daniels is going to have a beer on air.
Mark would like to have the show on Monday when he comes back, so that will wait till 12:01. Okay? Yeah. But no, coming out on Friday will be fun. And again, got the great beer, and Bobby's going to have some of the great food that's out there. So we're looking forward to getting out and hanging out with the guys from Bowegans. We love them.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely do that. I want you to think about this, and in about 20 minutes, I'll ask you again. So I mentioned the Yankees struck out 17 times for the second consecutive night. Whose fault is that? It sounds like, well, what do you mean? Is it Aaron Boone's fault? Like, is it a manager's fault when something like that happens, and whatever the equivalent is in a sport? Like if an NBA team misses 11 free throws and loses by 3, whose fault is that? Is it the coach? Is it the player? You can say, hey, stop striking out or make your free throws. Whose fault? We'll get to that in a little bit when we come back, though. Yesterday was in Frisco outside of Dallas for the Big 12 Media Days. 2 things I want to get to. I guess the most awkward moment of media question to person on stage and an overreaction without knowledge, which what else is new? We'll do that next.
He's the voice you trust for the teams you love. You're listening to Marc Daniels and the Beat of Sports.
You can listen live at FM 96.9, AM 740 on the free iHeart app. You can download that and make us one of your preset buttons at 96.9 The Game. You can be anywhere in the world and listen to us. And the video stream is up right now at the YouTube page, 96.9 The Game Orlando. Click on the logo on the live button. You can watch the show back anytime as well. You can also access the stream 96.9 Game on Twitter.
We usually get a guy who comments that he's always listening in Germany. That's pretty cool.
Freddie, the guy that was here for the World Cup on Twitter?
No,
Not him?
Not him. But we do have a listener in Germany for sure on a daily basis.
All right.
That's pretty cool. Chime in. Where are you listening from? Curious.
Text now. Where are you listening from?
On
Castleberry.
On the stream.
St. Cloud. All the way here in Longwood. So yesterday in Frisco, the Cowboy facility where the Big 12 Media Days continues today. Day one's the day to go, really. Need to make this event a one-day thing, too. Brett Yormark, the commissioner for the Big 12, had a couple of interesting moments on the podium. I've seen Yormark do this every year that I've gone to this, Chris, which is 4 years. He has a stapled package of stuff that he reads or uses as notes, but he doesn't stand at a podium. He just has it and kind of reads. So he made this announcement yesterday, and then everybody had to chime in as sports business experts, knowing everything about it. But here was Yormark yesterday.
But today, I have a very special announcement. Last year, we entered a partnership with Monster Energy to be the official energy drink of the Big 12. And today we build on that with Monster Energy becoming the entitlement partner of Big 12 football and Big 12 basketball regular seasons.
What were the last two words he said?
Regular seasons.
Okay. I just bring this up because that doesn't mean that their logo's on there for postseason playing football and basketball.
Monster Energy represents drive, edge, and...
Okay. So then he goes on to explain. Okay. Chris, I mean, maybe you drink energy drinks?
Yes, I do.
I don't. I know that Monster was a stronger brand maybe years ago and is not considered one of the biggest brands. I did look up their market share. It's probably more than people think. It's not as minuscule, but I get it was maybe a hit brand years ago. But people ran with this yesterday about, it's $1 million per team, and they gave up all this for just $1 million. And yeah, it's logo placement on a jersey. It's on a football field. It's on the basketball court. It's in the lane. They're going to pay for all the patches and the stuff you got to put down on the field and inside the paint in basketball. Okay. It was, he sold them out. They should sue him. Half the schools in the Big 12 are Pepsi schools. I mean, UCF's a Coke school, so they're okay. They're going to sue him. I can't believe. Okay, by noon yesterday, it's 1.25. Oh, so just went from $1 million to 1.25. Yeah, but it's, undervalued. They should have got a lot more. And then I'm watching people go, Georgia's looking to get $4 or $5 million for a logo on their jersey. And Michigan's probably going to get $5 to $7 million. Okay, just a couple things. And I'm not telling you this is a great deal. I'm just telling you what I know and then what I don't know. I don't know all the details of the contract. I have no idea what it says. I don't know if it's worth X today and then it's X times blank in year 2, 3 for the deal. I don't know. And then it went from 1 to 1.25 million. Then I heard, it's probably more than that based on some other benchmarks they meet and all that stuff. Then it's regular season. Well, what does that mean? Well, the logo comes up. It doesn't stop a school from selling their own logo. In late January this year is when the NCAA, that group that still is out there, late January this year is when they said, okay, now you can sell a patch on the jersey. Okay. Of all the schools that play high-level FBS football, I think it's 7. I think there's 10 total patch deals that have been signed by schools. 11. Today, XRP is who Kansas signed. I'll get to them in a second. But the reaction was like, oh, my God, he sold them out and it's worth so much more. How do you know? Like people yesterday became patch experts. And I don't know, maybe Yormark got a bad deal. He didn't do this on his own. He doesn't have the ability of doing that. He had to get permission of his schools, who, by the way, if you were a Pepsi school, you had to work with Pepsi to explain why the league did this deal. And you still put your own logo on there. So for all of you that went screaming, I don't think anybody in our audience, but so-called experts, either in the sports media business, that go, oh, well, Jordan's going to sign for $5 million. Then sign it. If you think, well, my school's going to get $5 to $8 million, then at some point, I guess they'll sign it. But I hate to break it to you, Chris, how far are we removed from January 23rd?
We're about 6 months.
And does anybody want to roll out the $10 million a year deal that someone's got for a logo? I mean, for a patch on their jersey? I'll help you. There are none. There are none. Now, there are some deals that are worth multi-million dollars. And nothing stops anybody in the Big 12 of signing a deal worth $2-3 million in the patch. You go, well, by doing the deal with Monster, you just lowered the value of putting the other patch on there. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. I know UCF's been well down the road with multiple potential partners. Okay? I got an idea what it may be for. They can still sell their own real estate there. And I'm sure they'll sell to both the highest bidder and something that makes sense. But if you think the naming rights to your school stadium is worth $10 million a year, is it? Do you know what it is? Because people were screaming yesterday, oh, these patches are worth more. Where? We're 6 months into it, and all the major Power 4 brands, wouldn't you think within a month to 60, 90 days after you could sell a patch, they would have jumped on the market? And I'm not telling you that there won't be deals announced, but no one's getting $10 million a year to put their patch on there. So let's see what it ends up being worth. Kansas in the Big 12 today, maybe this timing after what Yormark did yesterday, cut a deal with XRP. Anybody know what XRP is? Crypto company. And if it's your thing, cool. The stock's off 58% in the last 6 months, but sure, it trades at barely $1. I'm sure they'll be around for at least 3 more months. I don't know. Maybe they will. I'm not your crypto guy, believe me. They cut a deal. What is it worth? I don't know. I just saw some people speculate, but the reaction of, oh my God, it's such a horrible deal. Listen, if the SEC goes out and finds someone, because if you think, oh, well, they got that, then the SEC, it's got to be worth $100 million a year. Okay. When they sign it, come back to me. And I'll say, good for them. Okay. If you think, well, it's got to be worth 5 times more. Okay. They got 16 teams just like the Big 12. If in the next week, month, 4 months, I mean, you would think going into the 26th season, if you're the SEC, you want to get a deal done. Right? You want to get a deal done.
I would just be curious on what company is signing up to spend $10 million.
Oh, you mean as Chris is saying, who's got an extra $100 million laying around?
I want to put my patch on a Vanderbilt jersey.
Well, but you're getting everybody. Okay. When it happens, then come back and go, what a horrible deal Yormark signed. What a horrible deal. But until then, everybody became the expert in knowing what the value was of the patch yesterday. Or there's nothing like the old guy who doesn't drink Monster going, well, they're a thing of the past. What do you care? The other thing that was interesting yesterday was this moment that also went viral. So you've got a reporter that covers Texas Tech. All right, Sean Dillon, who got the mic yesterday, and he was going to ask Brett Yormark a question, and he was going to represent Red Raider Nation. And Chris, I saw Sean Dillon afterwards. He had a little giddy up step, like, someone brought it today. I wasn't letting Yormark off the hook. Here's the moment.
Sean Dillon, Rocket Brigade Commission.
What? Say it again.
Sean Dillon, Rocket Brigade Commission.
What? Well, what is the name of the outlet?
Sean Dillon, Rocket Brigade Commission.
Still don't know.
Texas Tech got fined over tortillas, and tortillas were banned outright. OSU paddles broke an always maker rule, has a tradition exemption. Sorsby never played a snap for the Red Raiders. Big 12 sued them anyway, while Cincinnati hasn't been yet touched. You're selling greater than 12. Why should Texas Tech fans believe it?
Okay, before your Mark answers, the tortilla ban is because some, not all, were throwing them at the opposing team. And you think, well, it's a tortilla. Okay, they were throwing them at the opposing team all over the sideline. The paddles at Oklahoma State, they're not throwing them at anybody. And if they do, then they deal with the consequences of it. There's a clear difference between the two. Now, I'll get to the Cincinnati part in a moment, but here's your Mark's answer.
Can you sit? Let me compose it to you. Stand up. Ask that question again, and I'm going to give you the answer I want to give you.
Now, he says stand up, and I'll give you the answer. In defense of everybody, you were asked, if you got the microphone to whether it be your Mark or coach, to please stand, state your name, the affiliation with who you're with, and then ask the question. So when your Mark, who comes walking over from the other side, goes, can you please stand? He's kind of following protocol, but he's also trying to school the guy.
So go ahead.
Texas Tech got fined for
Now he stands to ask the question.
tortillas, and tortillas were banned outright. OSU has had paddle that were given a noisemaker exemption back in 2012. Sorsby never played a snap for the Red Raiders, and yet there's a lawsuit. Cincinnati has yet to be touched. You're selling greater than 12. Why should Texas Tech fans believe them?
No, I didn't say greater than 12. You misquoted me. I said we're going forward as 16 strong, and that's my answer to your question. But
boom. Your Mark with the mafia boss look of like, this is the answer. You don't like it. You know. Now, okay. His group loved it because they thought he called out your Mark. And your Mark fired back. Now, again, the way he asked the question kind of leaves off a few things. The Big 12 did sue based on what the state of Texas did in the first place. So the argument's the wrong group. You can blame the AG in the state of Texas. And the Cincinnati thing, I don't think it's a non-story. I think Brett Yormark is not prepared to discuss what may or may not be going on regarding Cincinnati. And Chris, let me go back and say this. Yormark did state to an earlier question, today's not the day to discuss Brendan's, or he said, not the day to discuss that in reference to Brendan. Sorry, this is the day to celebrate our 16 schools. That may not have satisfied that particular person who wanted to ask that question. And it didn't matter. If you're on the Texas Tech side, you thought, great, somebody finally stood up to Yormark. If you're on the Yormark side, like, hey, I said I'm not going to discuss it today. And I'm not so sure that the Cincinnati thing is a non-story. I just don't think that Brett Yormark feels like he's got enough information to conclude or even to advance an investigation, but I don't think that door's closed. But that was an interesting moment yesterday.
Did you see what Mike Florio posted about the NCAA sending a letter of inquiry to Cincinnati about Brendan Sorsby?
Did he post that today?
Yeah.
Okay. Then, I mean, maybe that's, like I said, I don't think that story is a non-story. There's a belief that maybe Cincinnati knew more and let him play. And if that's the case, then it warrants them to take a closer look. Oh, now you need the NCAA. Oh, now you want it. Right? Before, and let me just play off of that for a second. You want to get rid of them. Okay? Okay, so they go away, right? So who polices this stuff then? Right? I mean, if you don't like them and they're terrible and you want to break away, and so who would do this then? Who do you want in charge of investigating wrongdoing? Now you need them, right? Well, wait. Come on back here a second. What? Well, can you take a look at that? Us? Yeah. I thought you wanted us gone. Well, I mean, you're here, so, maybe you can go over there and take a look at something. Them? Yeah. But I thought you hated us last week. Hate's a strong word. Disagreement. Right? Yeah. No, I hate. We just don't see eye to eye. Can you go look at them? What do you want us to look at? The stuff that went on. We can't be the only bad guys here. They did wrong. Oh, now you want to call somebody out. Yeah. But none of you want to do anything when you're accusing the other of tampering. What? Tampering?
And sorry, it was Ross Dellinger that posted it, not Mike
Okay.
Florio.
All right. Now that makes more sense. Tampering? What? Huh? What? All right. I asked Chris the question before. The Yankees have struck out 17 times in the last 2 games. Not total, 17 per game. When that happens, or the kicker's missed his 4th field goal in the last 3 games, or the basketball team misses 11 or 12 free throws and loses by 3, whose fault is it? Like, was it Aaron Boone's fault that so many Yankees struck out? Is it the coach's fault when the free throws are missed? We'll answer next.
What's good, locos? This is Angel from the Monsters in the Morning on Real Radio 104.1, and you're listening to the voice of UCF, Marc Daniels, and the Beat of Sports on FM 96.9 The Game. You want real sports talk? You got it right here.
Chris, on the bridge earlier today with Kelly, I played the clip of Aaron Boone in the clubhouse after the Yankees lost to the Rays and struck out 17 times for the second consecutive game. That's not 2 games, it's 1 game, and then another game 17 times.
I think there's one important piece of information that's missing. They at least split those games.
They did. That's correct. But he's asked, about the approach to the team and all that stuff. And, I mean, we try to put a little bit of a humorous spin on it, but Boone feels the heat. I mean, the Yankees have been horrible the last 3 weeks. It's terrible. And it's like, well, is Aaron Boone in the hot seat? So I asked this question because we do this a lot in sports, okay? When the players, and I'm sorry, in a pay-for-play world now, it's college. In college of the pros, Chris, when we screen for the coaching change, there is that line, that gray area of, well, what is realistically one's fault versus what one can control? Now, a key factor here, although both do strike out a lot, Aaron Judge and Stan aren't playing for the Yankees, not to mention Max Fried and Carlos Rodon, which, by the way, when you take those 4 guys out, guess what? The payroll difference for the Yankees and the Rays is not as significant anymore. It's not. And by the way, that's not me saying feel bad for the Yankees. It's just when I take out Stan and Judge, it's $60 million. Fried and Rodon, it's 50 plus. So I take 111, and all of a sudden the payroll's not anyway. But whose fault is it?
It's the players. I mean, I'm just looking. There's one player in particular. He's 0 for his last 30. That's Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, that's
0 for 30.
Bad. Yeah,
including 7 strikeouts the last 2 games.
That's correct.
0 for 30.
Right. His last positive at bat. Wait, was a fielder's choice against the Red Sox to bring home a run. Not a hit. He got a fielder's choice. He made contact in the 9th. Right.
That's all the player. And if you want to throw in the hitting coach, sure.
Okay, but even the hitting coach, unless the hitting coach is like, we're fine, they'll fight their way out of it. But I always love this debate because there is no right or wrong answer, because you want to blame Boone. He's like, well, who do you want to play then?
Well, what is he supposed to do? He can't go up there and hit for them.
It's the same thing, though, when the basketball team misses 12 free throws and they lost by 3 or 4, right? You don't like the coach because maybe the losses have been mounting, but the coach is going to go, what do you want me to do with the free throw? We'll practice free throws. Do you see what we do? Right? But you can't duplicate that. Batting practice is one thing, then the game. Free throws after practice is one thing, but then there's the game. But I always love that argument. Well, you got to fire the coach. Well, hang on a second. I didn't ask him to miss 12 free throws tonight. I would have accepted 3 or 4, not 12. I could live with 9, 10 strikeouts in today's space, not 17. What do you want me to do?
In back-to-back games. But again, at least they split the games.
I know.
At least they split.
But I use as examples because I always love when we do this argument of you got to fire the coach, like the day after the Magic blow the big lead to the Pistons. Okay? A lot of people screaming, well, that's it. Jamal Mosley's got to go. And you can say, hey, call more timeouts, everything. But when you miss as many shots, you're like, how about making a shot? If you're Mosley, you're like, you're in the NBA. Can we get at least a layup or something here? What do you want to blame me? Call more timeouts and say what? Make a shot?
Well, if you remember, how many timeouts did he burn during the 50-point loss to Toronto when they went on a 32-0 run?
Mm-hmm.
How many timeouts did he burn then?
I think 3.
It's got to be on the players.
But I love that debate. Fire him. Okay, fire him. But does that mean that if someone else was coaching, they would have made some shots along the way? Right? Like, you don't think Aaron Boone's like, oh, God, I'm going to get this question again. He looks up and how many? 13? Oh, my God. He's looking going, Goldschmidt, something, broken bat single. Right? Just anything, please.
0 for 30.
Right.
His last hit was June 25th.
Yeah.
He went 2 for 4. June 25th.
Right. So like, whose fault? Like, players have to take responsibility. And I've seen like Goldschmidt's like, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. You're like, okay, I know, but be better.
Do you send him down to the minors to get more at bats?
You can't send him down. You have options. No, they're in a horrible slump. I mean, they're in a bad slump. It's just the way it is. I mean, will they work their way out of it? I don't know. I mean, believe me, every single night I'm looking, go, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. Yeah. I landed last night and I looked, I go, they struck out again 17 times? How's that possible?
It's hard to do.
Yeah. Can I ask one more thing also about the Rays? And I'm asking you a question that I once I know the answer to. Forget about the whole Rays and stadium situation. Would you acknowledge that the Rays, year in and year out, continue to prove that they're a really good organization? They won a World Series. They've been to a World Series, but okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want them to buy stars? Meaning, you want the owner to spend more money to keep players, okay? If they win at the level they're winning, this is a fascinating debate. Like, you want to win or you want to win stars? I know, but we're winning. We got a few stars, but you want to be able to keep the stars. But even when we lose them, we find other guys to win. The argument about attendance, and to some degree, although the Marlins having a good season this year, are not as successful as what the Rays have been. The Marlins have won World Series in their history, but I'm talking about the last decade. The argument is, so it's about stars on the winning team, because you don't care just about the winning, because the Rays win. Now, the whole debate about the bridge and going, it's fine, but the Marlins are winning. The Marlins actually have a really good young baseball team. No one goes. So it's not about winning. It's about winning with stars.
And I don't want to say...
But again, you can do the stadium thing in Miami also.
Well, I don't want... I was going to say, there's more things to do in Miami.
Nah, I don't buy that.
There's not more things to do in Miami?
Like what? Well, versus where? What do you think? Everybody goes to South Beach all the time?
I'm just saying there's other things to do. I'm just trying to think
of
why.
New York? I mean,
I'm just trying to think of why fans don't go.
I think it's a wonderful crutch that's often used of like, they go to the beach and everything. Yeah, at 8:30 in July, no one's at the beach. No,
I beg to differ.
Well, I think there's an argument to be made that it's not just winning. It's winning with stars. And I don't argue that stars attract fans.
Mm-hmm.
The Rays, which has been a thorn in the Yankees' butt for a number of years, the one thing I will never argue is how good their organization is about finding the next man up and kind of playing money ball, because you can't pick on them for not winning. They win. And they do have stars. You may argue, well, they don't keep them by paying the next big contract. And their argument's going to be, yeah, but we find replacements. But you got to spend 40, 50 million more. Why? Well, because that'll win a World Series. We've gotten close. Yeah, but you're that star, you'll win. You sure? You watch the Mets? I mean, it's an interesting argument to be made back. All right, we get back, put a wrap on the Wednesday show next.
Time for the latest news, gossip, trends, and off-the-wall stories. Trends.
That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
Sam McDowell writes for the Kansas City Star and writes of Tyler Tolbert's 12 straight hits. The odds of a 200 hitter, which was his batting average before the streak, getting 12 consecutive hits is 1 in 244.1 million.
How do you know that?
Telling you. Well, you can do the numbers. The odds of being struck by lightning twice in your lifetime is 1 in 234.1 million. So, Chris, even though you may not play Major League Baseball, you got better odds of getting 12 hits in a row than getting struck by lightning twice.
I'm going to beg to differ on that one.
Yeah, because you're not a 200 hitter.
Yeah, I'm a career 0 hitter.
Chris is going to see if he has a soul today by visiting his doctor after the show, because he couldn't understand why his lovely wife was crying when her native Colombia lost in the World Cup yesterday.
I didn't say anything to her.
You didn't console her, did you? Did you say it's okay, honey?
We had to get my daughter ready for a bath.
Wow. Man. When you get beat by the Giants, I hope she comes up and just yells at you. Screams, had that taste. Miss any of today's show, go where you get your favorite podcast. Type of the Beat of Sports on Demand. Access the show when you're there. Subscribe, download, listen convenient for you. Watch the video stream back at our YouTube page. 96 in the Game Orlando. Click on the logo on the live button, and you can watch the show back. See you tomorrow, Chris.
See you, Mark.
Chris produced. I'm Marc Daniels. See you tomorrow with the Beat of Sports.